So the Atlanta Hawks have been eliminated from the playoffs this year, but nonetheless, they've had a great run. And I just want to talk about their season this year. The Hawks have been the most surprising team by far. Like, I can't think of any other team that's been as good as... Like, they've been really surprising this year. And I just want to talk about how they got to this point, how they made the Eastern Conference Finals, and I want to talk about maybe their future and if this run was a fluke, kind of like the Heat's finals run. But first, it all started with this when they... Well, it all started with Trae Young getting drafted, but I'm going to start from the offseason. So, this offseason, the last offseason, the Atlanta Hawks had the best offseason by any team. I said it from the beginning. Signing Rajon Rondo, Bogdanovic, Chris Dunn, and Danilo Gallinari, those are some of the notable signings. They also signed like Solomon Hill and other guys. And I've had the Hawks before I got my YouTube channel. I had the Hawks. I made a power ranking just for fun. And I had the Hawks in like the 7 or 8 seed. I don't really remember. But they really surprised me this year. But coming into the season, they were hovering around 500. They were never really, really good, but they were never really, really bad for the first half of the season. They were always right in the middle. Sometimes they were out of the playoffs. Sometimes they were barely in. Sometimes they were the 5th seed. That was until they signed Nate McMillan. They signed Nate McMillan. Right now, as I'm recording this, he just got signed a 4-year extension. He deserves it. He's been a great coach. But yeah, they just signed Nate McMillan, and there was 38 games left of the season, and the Hawks went 27-11 with him. So coaching does matter in a way, but it doesn't matter. It's not everything, coaching, but still. Trae Young has shown his skill. He's finally a superstar. He proved all the haters wrong. 27-10 for him with great playmaking. I've really noticed Trae Young's playmaking increase. Like, he's been a way better playmaker than last year. So you can tell that the reason is because he has better teammates now. Like, you can't be a superstar. Don't blame a superstar for not playing winning basketball if they don't have a winning team around him. Like, don't blame Booker because now he got Chris Paul and he's fine. But then you can't blame Trae Young, and now they're winning. So the team does matter, but Trae Young has really shown himself as a star this year. John Collins improved a little bit too. Jump shot's getting better. Finishing, lobs with Trae Young. Yeah. Clint Capella has shown himself as the second best player this year. After being involved in a 3-team trade sending Covington to Houston, someone went into Minnesota, and Clint Capella went to Atlanta. I don't really know the exact trade. But yeah, after showing that, Clint Capella has really shown he's the second best player on the Hawks this year over John Collins, even if you want to argue Bogdanovic. He's been the defender that the Hawks need, the interior defender, the rebounder, the shot blocker. The Hawks have always struggled with centers since, like, Al Horford. They've really struggled. Wait, was Al Horford on Atlanta? Yeah. Okay. But Clint Capella has shown himself this year, getting blocks, rebounds, just fitting the Hawks' needs. He's even been good on the offensive end, averaging double-digit points this year. I also want to talk about how Bogdanovic has been a real surprise for the Hawks, especially this playoff run. Three-pointer after three-pointer after three-pointer, getting much more efficient. And after leaving Sacramento to sign with this Hawks team, his role has been increased, going from an 8th or 9th man on the Kings to the starting shooting guard for the Atlanta Hawks. And he's really proved that he can be a starter this year with how he's been playing. I also want to talk about DeAndre Hunter to complete up the starting lineup. DeAndre Hunter been playing great this year, especially his defense. He's been like the defensive anchor other than Capella. But when he went down with an injury for a bit, Cam Reddish stepped up. And Cam Reddish, I like Cam Reddish. And he basically filled DeAndre Hunter. Like, there was no difference. Except they were one man short from depth. But now I want to talk about their playoff run. So I had them getting swept to the New York Knicks. Go watch my playoff predictions if you haven't. I'll put a link in the description. I had them getting swept to the Knicks. And obviously that was wrong. And I could make an excuse saying Julius Randle played terrible, which he did. But I'm not. The Atlanta Hawks played good. Mainly Trae Young. I mean, he got like 30 points in both of his games. Both the first 2 games. And he was still scoring and scoring after those games. The Atlanta Hawks kind of just took care of the Knicks in 5 games. And at that, I thought that this was going to be the worst series. The Atlanta-New York. So I thought, okay, it doesn't really matter who goes in, who moves on, I mean. Because the next round they're going to play Philly. And they're going to get swept. If it was either New York or Atlanta. And the Atlanta Hawks defeated the Philadelphia 76ers in 7. No excuses. Embiid played 6 of the games. Ben Simmons did play bad, but that's Ben Simmons. That's a whole video topic. Kevin Huerter had a nice game the last game. This was when Bogdanovich really started to shine. But it was still Trae Young. Trae Young, I've been really impressed with this year. Like I said, he's shown that, like, teammates matter too. Like, you can be a star to a certain extent, but you have to have a good teammate at the end, a good team at the end of the day if you want to win a game. So they beat the Hawks, they beat the Sixers in 7, and once again I doubted them against the Milwaukee Bucks. I didn't think they were going to go far. I thought they were going to lose in 5 or 6 games. They lost in 6 games. Nonetheless, though, a great game, a great season actually for the Atlanta Hawks. And so Trae Young is, things we can note now is Clint Capella is the second best player on the Hawks. The Hawks have a great future. Trae Young is officially a superstar. And now I want to talk about the last thing before we end this video is if they're flukes or not. Was this a fluke run like the Miami Heat's? Are they going to come next year, not even make the playoffs, or if they do get swept? I don't know, because I feel like this regular season with Nate McMillan has been great. It all depends on if they lose people this year, but they most likely won't because Trae Young is going to be back next year. John Collins is going into restricted free agency, but even if they do lose him, it's not the end of the world. Capella's locked in on a 3-year deal. So is Bogdanovich. All their young guys are just getting into their team options. So they have, that's just my dog. They have a really good team, a nice team for the future, and they're all locked in for the next couple of years. So I don't think this team's going to change too much, and that makes chemistry better. And with the new coaching staff like Nate McMillan, who just signed a 4-year deal, I don't think that this team's a fluke. Do I think they'll make the Eastern Conference Finals next year? Probably not. There's been a lot of injuries this year. Excuse my dog. I really think that they won't make the Eastern Conference Finals next year, but I do think that for the next couple of years, they can be like a 4 or 5 seed, like consistently make the second round, or go into 7 for the first round. So that's my analysis on the season for the Atlanta Hawks. I don't think they're flukes. Trae Young's a superstar. But yeah, that's going to wrap up my video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed. Be sure to subscribe, and we're going to see you in the next video.